What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Ammo Box. Glad you're here with us. Beautiful Sunday afternoon in beautiful Fort Worth, Texas, with a very near and dear friend of mine, a gentleman by the name of Cody Tiseo, who I went to tech school with a little back in the day. Really cool cat. I think you're going to enjoy the conversation we have, because we generally just tend to talk shit and
baby.
be loud. So, in light of everything that's going on, and being that you and I have kind of a love for the UFC, we're just going to dig right into it.
Absolutely.
So Ngannou's out. Ngannou left the UFC.
Yeah,
I guess.
honestly, I think it's all the crap that was going on with him and Dana White. And
right.
I had a feeling that was coming because everybody's cryptic about it,
right.
and it's what's going on with it. Oh, I don't know. They're negotiating. They're not negotiating. He pissed the wrong person off.
Right.
They're fucking with him, and then he's out.
Yeah.
So.
And then on top of that, we've got the latest gambling thing with, who was that guy, Krause or whatever. I guess he had a Discord that was giving out information.
No, I didn't hear that. What's going on with that?
Actually, I just heard this recently. So I guess there was like some kind of gambling thing that they were kind of getting in trouble for, like fighters bet on.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Joe Rogan actually talked about that, where you're actually not, if they're in your training camp, you can't have anything to do with the bets.
Right.
And it's put up like a black eye on his gym, essentially.
Yeah.
And now he's got some people that are currently in the UFC who are like, well, I feel like now I have to switch because all this bad attention is drawn towards him and his gym and like what he did in the past. And it wasn't illegal. It's just very frowned upon, apparently, what he did. So bad move.
Yeah. So
all for that dollar, man.
And that's usually what it boils down to, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And here she comes. Yes, my dear. You got your camera? Okay, perfect. She does all my promo stuff.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Marketing and PR.
Hey, child labor is always, tends to be the cheapest.
Believe me, she ain't
cheap.
cheap.
Put the lamp on the website, too. I like it.
And take a picture of the camera. I love it. Okay, let's. There you go. Come on. Out you go. I love you. You're the best. Take the cat with you. Take the cat with you. Snuggles. Out you go. Out you go. Or whatever. Get out. Yeah, so a little black eye on the UFC, and there's a guy who's been literally following it since, day one, really. I remember a buddy of mine, Dave Flores, was his older brother had found a VHS tape of this thing called the UFC.
Right.
And we both studied martial arts in our youth, and we were still, even through most of high school, we were still practicing. And this was like 1993, I guess, a year after it first happened. He's like, dude, you got to watch this.
Right.
Dude, you got to see this. I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
Another fighting tournament? Oh, Karate Kid. He's like, no, bro. So brought it to the house, popped it in the VHS, and sure as shit, it was grown-ass man. Full blast. No pads, no rules, no nothing.
Holds bar,
You can still punch him in the nuts back in the day.
Oh, yeah. There's a highlight reel of that on YouTube. Just nut punches.
One of the most uncomfortable things you will ever watch in your life.
It's personally my favorite movie. Though.
Right.
It's frowned upon in some circles.
It's very efficient, I find. Very efficient.
Absolutely. And then dick twist.
Mm-hmm.
But no, yeah, I remember, and again, just, I know it's annoying. I'll probably quote Joe Rogan a lot because I listen to a lot of Joe Rogan. But like he's talking about how like same thing. Mm-hmm. I feel like that was a lot of enthusiasts, first experiences. It wasn't very well known, and it just spread like wildfire via word of mouth. Yeah. Because the internet back in the early '90s, it wasn't, it wasn't a thing. Yeah. So, and then as it developed, nobody had a computer, So, but anyways, it was like, yeah, go rent that shit. Yeah. And let's all watch it, and then you watch it over and over again because, of course, they're only putting one out, every couple every year and stuff. But yeah, the UFC, its inception was in '92, and it just caught like wildfire because it's like the closest thing to savage. Right. Like fighting you could get, and it was sanctioned.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, go potty then. You know how to go potty. You are more than capable of going potty by yourself.
That's funny. My 3-year-old, he also does the same thing. He's like, I gotta poop.
Yeah.
Like, bro, just go poop, bro.
You go ask me why.
Yeah, right.
You've been pooping by yourself
FOMO.
For like 6 months.
They don't want to miss out.
Yeah, right.
You got listen. If I'm in there pooping, you got to be with me, Dad.
Mm-hmm. Or to make sure I'm not, not missing out on anything. It's super disappointing for sure, man. I've been, like I said, I've been following it since forever, and I got to the point where watching it was I need to watch all of them.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I missed one, I went and downloaded it and watched it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Became obsessed. Yeah.
And you watch the rise of the Donald Cerrones. You watch the rise of the Dennis Severs and and even back into the Dan Severins and Don Fry guys,
For sure, yeah.
Those
back when,
original
early
guerrilla
Pride days.
wrestlers.
Yeah, no, there you go. That was, original like wrestler, probably just characters that. The great thing too about like the early on stuff is like the interviewing was awful. Right. Even Joe Rogan talks about how like when he early started, like he just didn't know what the hell he was doing. But it's like genuine. They're bros or dudes or meatheads, you know. So it's like you not only need a raw fight, you got a raw interview on what their emotions were, and it's like for someone who doesn't know what that's like, it's like it just hits you, and you're jacked, and you're like, I want to join a fucking gym and learn how to fuck somebody up, you know. And
that was like the entire world. The world hadn't seen that before.
No, nothing like it. No,
maybe Muay Thai was
right.
like
Absolutely, but that was still in Thailand, though. I mean, people knew
focused
about it, but it wasn't like worldwide for sure. And each country, kind of has their own. Not every country, obviously, but a lot of countries kind of have their own, fighting styles and different weird things. Like there's like this weird fake martial arts in Russia that's like dudes slapping their elbows and shit, and it's really funny. But anyways, my point is like everybody kind of has their own stuff. Well, in UFC and back in the day, Pride, WEC, and all these other smaller conglomerates, like you put all that together. It's like mixed martial arts. Oh, because you're mixing it. And then the Gracie family took the world by storm. What's this little fucking guy in pajamas gonna do? Oh, he's gonna whoop everyone's ass. Oh, okay. What's that called again? Jiu-jitsu? Cool. I'm signing up tomorrow.
And change the world.
Absolutely.
Change the
fighting game forever. You can't just be a dude who threw freaking haymakers. And also, back in the 90s, they weren't testing for steroids. Now USADA comes, knocks on the door and says, hey, we know it's 6 o'clock in the morning. Can you pee in this cup? Oh, sorry.
And we saw
Amazon
the demise of
testosterone.
a lot of careers as a result.
Absolutely.
The demise of a lot of careers as a result. Which is sad because, and I shouldn't say sad, but it is kind of sad. Because at the end of the day, they really make their own decisions.
True.
But watching Ubereem and Vitor pre and post.
Yeah, no shit. Different people.
Stark contrast.
Absolutely. Still respectfully shredded, way more than I'll ever be with this DadPod.
For sure. Yeah, way more effort than I'm putting into it.
But definitely night and day difference.
Yeah.
What I think sucks is, and I obviously we're all human. Humans lie, but I feel like there is a genuine sense of like I really didn't know, in that you took some shit that your camp gave you and it didn't meet anything on the list, but where they manufactured it, it's in the same vat as a banned substance. Right. So it's not in it's just unintentionally taking it, and then
and how prevalent
now
is that?
All of a sudden you're a roid head.
Yeah, and how prevalent is that in sports in general, right?
It's exactly, and not just fighting.
And the example that I love the most is I watch. I don't know if you know who Steven Crowder is.
I do.
He does that.
I think he's hilarious.
He's one of the best, dude. I love him to death. Gerald G. Morgan Jr. So you probably know where I'm going with this. Played Notre Dame football. Yeah. Right, and they gave him supplements. Right. And a vacuum sealed pack that didn't have any labeling on it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And these guys
super legit.
Yeah. Right. So and I wholeheartedly believe that there is a lot of that kind of misdirection going on in any professional sport. I mean, if it goes down to college, it definitely
especially at the collegiate level, because you're young, you're expecting these group of grown fucking men to guide you. Yeah. And instead they're like, this dude could take us to the top, and it's like,
and you're susceptible.
You're supposed to be helping him. Like, just quit thinking about yourself and do your fucking job. But no. Juice him up, and then because if he falls, there's another one coming next year.
Who's more than happy to take all the supplements that you were giving him? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I'm sure at some point, if you're depending on where you are on the depth chart list, I'm sure at some point, those supplements don't get to you because they got to starters. Right. And I'm sure there's.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
They're absolutely allocating certain supplements and vitamins to their top athletes because I mean, you have a camp and you have a team and you need those lower level guys to keep your cream of the crop sharp. But it's unfortunate, especially in like a young dude's career, in a like a quickly rising star in like the UFC kid just as quickly lose all that. And
for sure.
After a year, who
you
know what I mean, you're no longer relevant because you were a roid head, you were labeled, and so
And is it part of is it an inevitability of the existence of the UFC that something like this would eventually happen? Because obviously USADA popped up after the Russian Olympic thing in Sochi, and USADA popped up, and they started seriously, and we saw the fight game change.
Right.
Regardless of whether or not you believe it, or what you want to say about it, or who you know, or
exactly.
who's butt you're shaking. We saw a remarkable difference between pre and post USADA, and a lot of, and they were talking about John Hendricks.
Right.
You know what I mean? Hendricks had that bomb.
Oh yeah.
That he would just
for sure
flatten you with, and all of a sudden stop. You know, and he got walked through. He got walked through the last 4 fights of his career, which was sad because he was a great fighter and from what I understand, pretty good dude. But is it an inevitability that after going through the cleanup phase in USADA that obviously fighters were betting on themselves, and the ones who were actually good were making some decent money.
Well, I mean, anytime I feel, and I honestly, my stance on like everything is everyone's a grown fucking human being. Right. If you are, I should say. And or your brain's developed, you can make your own decisions. So take steroids, don't take. I don't give a shit. Yeah. Now, obviously, at a competitive level, you could argue that it's unfair, because it is. But they're gonna. There's literally like a list of what they test for. Right. And dudes will, and women too, but obviously mainly dudes, will be like, oh, okay, well they don't test for this, and if there's a chance that I just got tested yesterday, and of course USADA is random. Right. Like Joe Rogan was going over, like, I can't remember who it was, but he was like, they got tested like 26 times in a year. Yeah. And then TJ Dillashaw got tested like 4 times that year. And of course, I wish I knew exactly.
I think it was Max Holloway that went through all the tests.
Something like that, which was the most natural dudes in the UFC. But my point is, it's like, there's still human error involved with it. So it's a very flawed system. I don't know who makes those decisions on who gets popped or not. And obviously you don't want to have some sort of prejudice towards someone who's, muscular, right? Like, I guess above the natural line, whatever that would be. I'm not the one to determine that, because I think everybody in UFC is ripped. You're right. But it's like, there's obviously some people who are juicing. Yeah. And it's like, and they get tested like everybody else, and it's like, hey, fucking catch him walking out of a 7-Eleven real quick, and I bet you he's pissing hot. Right. He's gonna melt the fucking cup.
And can you actually maintain an unbiased?
No,
I mean?
I don't think so.
As a USADA, organization, is it really possible to maintain an unbiased, an unbiased view of who needs to be tested when? If you've got a guy who's probably pretty obviously juicing, but he's got a championship fight, and that means money for everybody in the organization.
Exactly. It's like, do you really want to pop him?
Do you like, maybe we'll catch him after the fight.
Right. Exactly. What I mean? Well, that's the thing too. And again, I have no clue, but they're just like a business. There has to be funding allocated to testing, so, which is like their main primary function, is to keep everybody honest. But like, for instance, like a low level dude who fights one time makes $20,000 a year, like, or less probably. Right. That dude's not getting tested as like a high level athlete who's fighting more often. Sure. But to the same token, like you were saying, like the very high elite ones who bring in, like the Conor McGregors who sell tickets. Yeah. It's like, do they really get tested? Because, I mean, again, Joe Rogan talking shit about, he's just talking shit. He's joking, but he was making fun of, like, not making fun, but he was saying, like, Conor could probably melt a cup if they tested him. Right. And then Conor got all butthurt, and he was like, look, dude, I was just joking. All I'm saying is you're fucking beefy. Yeah. Looks like, something's going on. But
it's hard. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to quantify the Conor before he got injured. Right. Conor now. I mean, he's what, 225, 230
the dude
pounds?
Is freaking stacked, man. He looks great. He looks great. Yeah. And I mean, steroids, no steroids. I don't know. I'm not an athlete. He's been off for quite a while because of it. It was a pretty severe injury. The shit was dangling. Yeah. Yeah. So he, who knows what he was focusing on, because he's obviously got hands. Right. So, recovery was obviously the prime objective. Get the surgery, rehab, and then some point in the rehab stage, training is mixed in, and then you're fully rehabbed, and now you're just fully training. So it would make sense that he would focus on core and upper body. Right. Because he can't throw kicks. He's fucking recovering a snapped leg. Yeah. So it's, again, you could probably argue for.
Make the case for either way.
Make the case for either way, exactly. Like, it doesn't look right, but also it's been over a year now. Yeah. Like, that's plenty of time for someone to get yoked with the right diet and training regimen. So, especially at their level, dude's freaking millionaire. Yeah. Sold.
He's got time and resources to
his
throw
whiskey
at it,
company.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah. He's got a whole camp, freaking private chefs probably. Oh, yeah, for sure. He's not throwing mac and cheese in the microwave. He's got a 5-star, chef. So, with the right diet and exercise, yeah, absolutely, you can get that jacked. It's not like ungodly like bodybuilder. Right. So, again, you could argue either case.
Yeah, interesting. I don't know, man. I kind of think it was an inevitability, especially as the top tiers got a little bit more valuable,
right.
so to speak. And these guys, obviously, the talent has been the difference between UFC 2009
right.
versus 2022, 23. Yeah. Dude, the talent game is just way different, especially with these Russian dudes and these the Nurmagomedov.
Right, exactly. Dudes coming out of the mountains and they want to smash. They're going to smash people. And that's the cool thing about it is, like, because early 2000s is when I really got into it.
Right.
You know, and I trained a little bit, and I thought I was a badass. I had a red mohawk like a fucking idiot. But I, I actually, funny story, the first time I met my wife's abuelita, I had a red mohawk.
Right.
And her reaction was like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
Like, this is what?
This is the guy you
I've come a long way. No more mohawks for me. But anyways, that's early 2000s, was when I was really into it. I knew people, like their fight records, and I followed it really closely. Mm-hmm. And now it's like come so far, and I kind of that dropped off, and I try to get into it, but I feel like sometimes they hype up shit so much.
Right.
And it's just like,
and then it doesn't.
Now that doesn't happen very often, but it is enough to where, for me, like I allocate a lot of my time to working and my family.
Right.
So any time extra, is really spent driving.
Yeah.
Well, because I'm in construction, so I'm driving all over and I listen to podcasts, but I don't really have, like aspirations to get back into UFC. I'll watch a good main event at a cousin's house or something, or go to a bar with a buddy.
Sure.
But it's like the cream of the crop is in the UFC. Mm-hmm. And that before you could kind of argue, well, no, one championship, and in total respect to them, they got their thing going on, and Bellator, at a not even necessarily a lower level,
right.
But the was it PFC or professional fight?
PFL.
Yeah. They got some pretty good fighters too, but it's like it's for sure cream of the crop, like best of the best fight in the UFC.
Yeah. And
I think the cool thing about it is, in like back to the 2000s, like Anderson Silva was amazing.
Yeah.
Arguably the best
all time.
So, but I was one of those haters who wanted to see him lose. The problem was with that, there just wasn't anybody to rise the occasion for so long. Yeah. Nowadays, like look what happened to Usman.
Yeah, divisions are stacked.
They're stacked. Like there's killers everywhere. Like there's no guaranteed reign like there used to be back in the 2000s.
And God forbid you're in a division who's got anybody in the division named something with a V at the end of it, because you are going they are going to wrestle folks in a corner, man.
Yeah,
it's been and that's probably been my favorite evolution so far of the UFC is watching these Eastern Bloc guys come out of Kyrgyzstan or wherever they come from. And like I said, just smash. They want to smash. Walk through and eat lunch all fucking day, dude. Yeah. It's amazing to watch, and it's really kind of sparked my interest again.
Right.
Because kind of to your point, once the Randy Couture's were out, once the Vitor Belforts were done, once the Anderson Silvas were done, and we were into like the Weidman, Brock, I don't know who else.
Cain Velasquez
days.
And I mean, those days were good too, but now, I see where you're going, and I think now more than ever, it's definitely worth going back into, like if there were any time to be a UFC fan, now is the time, just because you have guys that are just, and girls too, like the women, Jesus Christ, like every woman in the UFC could whoop my ass. You know what I mean? Like they're all killers. So it's awesome. Like the shit that you get what you pay for. You really do. I mean, it's like, pay-per-view is like $80.
Right.
But it's worth it now.
Yeah.
Back when, like I said, you could kind of, you kind of knew what to expect. You kind of knew who was going to win. Nowadays, you got these hybrids who are just beasts, and you have no idea what the fuck's going to happen.
Who come out of literally nowhere.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Regional promotions where they're like 22-1. You're like,
where did I fight out of Florida? It's like, what?
Yeah.
Who are you? And
then they walk into the UFC and just start breaking people in half, and you have to wonder, okay, what are you eating? What does your diet consist of? It's so fascinating, and I'm honestly really interested to see kind of how this plays out, because I know, look, if anybody can weather a storm, it's Dana. Right?
Oh, for sure.
He's like the John Gotti of sports entertainment, right? You know what I mean? Okay, whatever.
He'll be fine.
Whatever. Yeah.
And that's the thing too. And no disrespect to Ngannou, but in like a year, nobody like. Obviously, he's again amazing fighter. Like freaking dude has sledgehammers for hands, but whatever happened, he's gone. Yeah. And they're gonna find someone else.
I wanted to see Jones and Ngannou. The one fight I was truly looking forward to that I was planning on buying the pay-per-view was like, okay, I want to see these two beat the shit out of each other because that would have been amazing. That's the part that disappoints me most.
For sure, because you'll never know is the disappointment there for sure because I've been waiting for John Jones for like 2 fucking years. Yeah. Like he been coming back. It's like, and dude looks beefy. Yeah. And he's John Jones, but now he's a bigger John Jones.
Now he's a huge, scarier John Jones.
And he posted some shit a couple years ago when I think he was originally supposed to come back, and he's like, I'm gonna run through everybody in the division, and I'm like, I believe it. Yeah. Like, dude, fucking, and I love Daniel Cormier, but the first time they fought, he didn't even train. Yeah. Like, that's nuts.
He's out partying his ass off.
Yeah. And then he even talked shit in their fucking second fight. He's like, dude, I was doing crack when I beat you. Like, I'm not worried about you, bro. Yeah. And DC is the Olympic level, like, fucking killer wrestler.
Yeah. Straight murderer.
So it's just like, it's just crazy to see what the human body is capable of. I'm, me personally, I don't fight. Yeah. Like, I don't have no interest in that. I may, my older years when my kids are in school or whatever, I might go back to jiu-jitsu, but just to maintain,
just to move
what DadPod I have, exactly, just to move. Yeah. But like I'm for sure not like fucking going in a bar like, all right, who am I gonna take out? No thanks. I don't want brain damage.
I'm not looking to bite anybody for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know, man. I'm just I guess we'll see what happens or whatever.
So I guess to segue into like parenthood, like as far as people fighting, you have a little girl.
Yeah.
How do you feel about women fighting?
I was okay with it until Fallon Fox. And Fallon Fox, outside of that, that's when my kind of shift changed, right? Obviously, I mean, the girls in the UFC are amazing and more power to them, fight it out girls. But when we started kind of crossing that border between, I was like,
that's not cool. That's not cool.
Maybe in like jiu-jitsu tournaments, because I'm definitely going to stick her in a BJJ class for sure, because she's already long. Respect. She's already got a lot of strength in her. You know what I mean? So I have a feeling she's going to be that kind of John Bones Jones kind of phenom physically. I mean,
very active.
Sure, I am biased because she's my kid. She's going to be the next Jimi Hendrix /
absolutely.
John
you want to
Bones
impart
Jones.
on her your stuff, your hobbies.
Relate to greatness, right?
Right.
But I don't necessarily think that I would want her to fight professionally if she made that decision. But I mean, if that's what you want to do and you're good at it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And the thing with especially, I mean, with really anything that your kids do, right, is being honest with them. Yeah. And I think a lot of kids, especially nowadays, which is kind of the whole woke thing, they've never been, hey, look, you suck at this.
Right.
Stop it. Just knock it off. Go find something else to do. You know what I mean? And look, I wanted to pitch. I wanted to pitch for the New York Yankees as a kid. Right. I wanted to be that hurler that stood up there like Greg Maddux and threw fireballs at people and just like, woo, you know what I mean? But at the same time, that wasn't what I was out. Right. That wasn't me. That wasn't my physical capabilities. You know what I mean? Yeah. I was always more of an artist and a solo sports guy anyway. So martial arts and golf were really what I would kind of geared toward, and obviously music being what it is. But yeah, whatever. I mean, honestly, whatever she wants to do, look,
you'll support her.
I'll throw money at it to make her good at it.
No, I'm always curious too because I'm a boy dad. Right. And I
you got two boys?
I got two boys. Oh, yeah. Right on. Yeah, I got a 3-year-old and an 8-month-old. But like, I always found it kind of fascinating how we're able to like disassociate, like our family from like that. That's a human being. Right. On the pay-per-view, like beating the shit out of it, woman, man, whatever. Yeah. So it's like. And you're like, yeah, but then it's like your kin or your flesh and blood or your, whatever, and it's a whole new thing. Yeah, it's like, well, hold on, I'm cool with women fighting, just not my dog,
not my kids.
You know what I mean? So it's always just fascinating to me the psychology behind, being a parent, really, because I had a lot of reservations about certain things when I wasn't a parent, and one thing I was actually talking to a buddy of mine about last night. We went over to his house and our kids met each other for the first time and they were playing and having a blast. But it was, not knowing. Mm-hmm. So pre-kids, when parents would brag, like, hey, no kids tonight. Woo. Yeah. And I'm like, it's kind of a funny thing to brag about. And now I have two kids and I'm like, fuck. Yeah. Like, I love those dudes. Love them. Absolutely. I would die for them. Yeah. I will absolutely do everything I can to raise them as best I can. But fuck yeah, sometimes I want to break. I don't want to see their faces. I don't want to hear their screaming.
Yep.
You know, mom and dad got the kids, whoever, auntie, uncle, whatever. Someone's babysitting. Me and the wife going out.
Yeah. And you need it. Look, you need it. And
absolutely, you have to.
Anybody that would accuse a parent of being a bad parent or not being a whatever good parent because they want some time away from their kids is an idiot.
Right. It's ignorance, and that's what I'm saying. Like I was purely ignorant because I saw it through my lens. Yeah. Which was not a parent. Yeah. So same as somebody who's not a specialist or keyboard warrior. Like, yeah, you can coach from the sideline or from the bleachers, but you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Right. And that's exactly like, it's just crazy. And I had all these people tell me, I can't explain it, but when you see your first kid, something changes. Yeah. And I'm like, I mean, it's your connection to humanity, right? Because in front of you is this little creature, right, that you made, that you're responsible for, that is 100% helpless. You know what I mean? Is 100% dependent on you until they are literally 12 years old. You know what I mean? So you got a long way to go before this little number is going to be out of your hair. Right, for sure. You know what I mean? And it's your connection to humanity because it becomes incumbent upon you to protect that life because that's your kid. And teach them, not how to be a piece of shit. Yeah. Yeah. That's a big thing, too, not raising assholes. How to contribute, And, everybody has their own way. And, like, there's this, I think on Hulu or Netflix, there's, like, this parenting show right now, and it's a couple of psychologists or something. I don't know. I don't watch it. My wife watches it. But it's kind of nuts how, we're, not all of us. I mean, I would say most people are probably pretty decent middle of the road humans, but some people are like, this is how I parent. This is how everybody should parent. Right. And it's like, not only is that not true, it may not work for who that child is. Right. You know what I mean? Right. So navigating that, as a dad is it's definitely easier now that I have two, and then my oldest he'll be 4 this year. But I mean, he's only going to be 4 once, 5, 6, 7. You know what I mean? So we have a whole couple more phases we're going to go through, and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but I'm figuring it out. You know what I mean? But it was just crazy how true that was, that something clicks inside of you. So now I'm telling people that. Mm-hmm. I have a buddy of mine, him and his wife, my wife and her have been best friends for a long time, having their first kid. Mm-hmm. And they invited us to breakfast like a month ago. And we had like a 2-hour breakfast. It was wonderful. The kids were there. Luca was, being a little 3-year-old. But for the most part, he's pretty well behaved. And they were asking us all kinds of parenting questions, like, what do you do for this? What do you do for discipline? In this specific scenario, what do you do? Mm. And it was just cool to be able to impart our wisdom, I guess you call it, that we have from our experience onto them. And of course, with an open mind. It's not, well, if they do this, you got to do this. Right. No. This is what we do. And this is what has worked for us. And this was not worked for us. Like right now, discipline, there ain't shit that we tried that's worked. Yeah. He's 3. You know what I mean? So the spanking. And he's a boy. Yeah. Absolutely. There you go. And that's a huge, and again, I'm not a girl dad, but I have nieces, and it's just night and day difference between girls and boys. And of course, all kids, most kids, not all kids, most kids act up. Right. But boys are different, man. Yeah. They come from a special place in hell. No, I'm just kidding. No, they're just the apple bag. They're just exactly like, I love my kid, but one of his favorite things is we call it knuckle sandwiches, which is us fighting. Yeah. And I don't mind that. I'm happy to be rough with my boy. I want him to be tough, and I know, and it's now it's woke, so that's not whatever. He loves to sucker punch me. He thinks it's hilarious, and I fucking hate it. Yeah. And it's honestly only something he's recently done over this last year, because typically it's initiated by, you want a piece of me, or you want a knuckle sandwich, or a slice of bologna, or whatever, and then it's on, man. Right. No, he's like, he gives me a look, and I know if I don't defend myself in the next 3 seconds, haymaker's coming right for my fucking face, dude. So it's just like, it's hilarious hindsight, and but in the moment, I'm like, you little fucker, I'm gonna choke you. And then of course my wife's like, calm down, one of y'all's gonna get hurt, and because it used to be, honey, you're gonna hurt him, but he's hurt me. Yeah, the dude has headbutted me, busted my lip, shit like that, and he's tough, man. But it's just crazy. Once they get that plyometric action in their legs, all bets are off. And they're limber, and they can go for hours. Yeah, I can't no more. I'm rocking the DadPod for sure. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I have a desk job now. I have for over a year and a half, and I'm getting soft, man. So he can definitely outrun me. Yeah. So, as long as I keep it in the confines of the living room, I got him at a disadvantage. But if we're in an open field, he's going to run away from me, wait till I'm tired. I'm going to fall to the ground. He's going to come and beat me out. Yep.
Yep, I got about 13, 14 hard seconds of running before I'm done.
I'm gonna try and wrap him up and put him in a headlock because if I can't contain him, I'm get my ass up. But I'm excited about the youngest growing up.
Right.
I don't want him to grow up any faster than he already is by any means.
Yeah.
But I am looking forward to them two playing and wrestling and being brothers and and then I have my boys. I can take them both fishing, stuff like that, because my oldest is, like I said, he's gonna be 4 this year. And I'm kind of funny around hooks, but I love fishing. So I'm kind of like, when is the right age to introduce it? Because, some kids are playing golf or t-ball at 3 and all. He's super active, but he's like into puzzles and stuff like that, which is awesome because, he's kind of ADD like me.
Right.
So like problem solving is something that keeps him distracted. Not distracted, but focused, and he genuinely enjoys it. So I'm kind of like, I know it's going to be like that dad in the movies who's like getting super frustrated because you're fishing and it's like a waiting game, whether it's live bait or you're throwing something out and put some action on it. Even then, you're working the bait. Mm-hmm. It's not that entertaining if you don't like it.
Right.
So I'm like, I don't want him to hate fishing, Right. So this year we're going to, probably later on, obviously in the summer months, we're going to get him a little rod and reel. And
give it a shot.
It's going to be the first time. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, man, fatherhood's it's a whole nother thing.
And it's one of those things, cliche. Oh, you're never really ready for it until it happens. And as somebody who's, kind of prided myself on being well educated and a heavy
for
reader,
sure. One of the smartest dudes I know.
I appreciate that. I always looked at whatever. You never know until, of course you know. You can read the book. You can read the book. This is what to expect.
There's parenting books.
Yeah, the neurological synapses happens, and because of these chemicals over here, that's what creates that emotion. And they're dealing with their emotion. If you can calm that down, you're fine. And then she came here. Then she showed up, and at 40, on my 40th. See, and this is the story, right? So she was born on my 40th birthday.
Oh shit.
Yeah. We found out it was the day before Father's Day because we had gone down to the river to float the river, 2019.
Oh, right? Nice. There you go.
And we had found out that she had picked us as far as like being the bio parents, and she told us that it was going to be a girl like the day before Father's Day. And I called from like 27 years old. I was like, it's going to be a girl. I don't know why. I don't know how I know it. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's going to be a girl. And boom, 40th birthday, girl. Insane. And at 40 years old, having worked, again, I've been a self-employed musician for a long time. I've worked in, super hyper alpha male industries like automotive, obviously.
Right.
You've got this very specific idea of how the world works. And I found myself at 40 years old standing in that room. I'm going to be the first person to touch her as a parent. Oh, my God. Little baby. Just blubbering.
Absolutely.
Blubbering. And even beyond that. So now she's 3. She started to dance, right? She's got a little.
Okay, yeah, that's awesome.
So they had their first little recital just before Christmas, right? And it was, they did a really good job. They had like 20 acts, and they were like in and out. And they were like the girl who runs the school is like super, super, super awesome at what she does.
Yeah.
But you sit there. And you watch all these cute little children,
right? Cute little children
doing something and executing something, being part of something, interacting with other people, being within fellowship with one another over something similar. And it just, again, it's that reminder, that little thing that clicks in your brain is like, oh, this is why people can be awesome.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah.
Then you go to work and you're like, oh, this is why people kill each other.
This is why, exactly. I totally agree. I feel like children are the best of us for sure, and it's mainly because, and this is like maybe a crass way of looking at it, they're not fucked up. They're not fucked up, but they're not tainted yet, and that's I feel canvases. Like, that's one thing that I've kind of had parenting anxiety about since day one is like, you on the one hand you have to accept that you as a parent, mother, father, whatever, can only do as best you can.
Right. And
that's, but you have to do the best you can. You can't be lazy about it. But even then, you can only do so much because they are who they are. They're going to be who they're going to be. And there's a tipping point, I feel, and that's probably, I'm guessing again because I'm not there yet, but in like the teenage years, the early teens, the preteens, that's going to kind of be where you're like, okay, my kid's an asshole, or okay, my kid's a good,
okay.
And honestly, I was a bit of both, when I was like, 13, 14, I distinctly remember those couple of years as like my bad years, just because I don't know, and I say I don't know, hormones.
Right.
I fought with my mom a lot. We argued about shit that we really shouldn't. But I mean, obviously, just me not wanting to clean up my room, just trivial stuff. But still, like, I was a little prick.
Right.
And then, you know, puberty, you know, navigating all that, and, you know, wanting to hump everything that moved, like, that was weird. Which my wife is not very much not looking forward to that.
Right.
But it was like, I feel like I grew into a pretty decent young man. You know what I mean? Nothing crazy. I didn't, like, you know, gang bang or do drugs or anything like that. And I generally, just because of my upbringing, didn't want to.
Right.
You know, so that's why we're like, if we can continue to maintain a certain level of love and attention, they'll be decent human beings. And I feel like that's a good formula because it yields good results.
Yeah.
But it's not always the case, you know. So there's a lot of factors in today's society. Shit's all over the fucking place. Yeah. You know, and it's like, I don't try to get all fucking philosophical and stuff, and, you know, but, like, men can have kids now. Yeah. And it's like, you know, me personally, I don't give a fuck what you want to do in your household. Yeah. But I'm teaching my kid a certain thing, and that's how he's going to be raised until he's a certain age. And if he has questions, I'll happily answer them from my perspective. And at that point in time, he's able to form his own opinion and live his life. However, but it's like, to say that you have to check all these boxes, it's impossible. Yeah. And that's by anybody's standard, whether you're left, right, centrist, you know, pro, whatever. It's just fucking, as a parent, trying to figure out how to navigate that, for me, is the hardest. Love them unconditionally. I got that, baby. Yeah, I love these two little knuckleheads.
That's the easy part.
Exactly. Yeah. It comes naturally, you know, and I pride myself on that. And, you know, and I feel like what you have done really stepped up, you know, and I think that's awesome that, you know, you've accepted the challenge, because it's a challenge. But fatherhood is not easy, you know, and for your wife, motherhood is not easy either. And it's like, for y'all to do what you've done is amazing, because there are plenty of kids who need good homes. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, for sure. And so God bless you for that.
I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, absolutely.
She's my little miracle baby, for sure.
For sure. And she's freaking precious. She's so sweet, and like you said, you know, before the podcast started, like, just give her some sugar. See what I feel like that's like every kid. You know what I mean?
Those Walmart sugar cookies, bro. It's like literally dumping plutonium into a reactor, bro. It just zing. You can hear her turbo winding up, like, as it kiki starts to kick in, and then
get a couple minutes and she gone.
Unbelievable. And then it's like real hard for like 2 hours. Then like, you all right? Drool. I mean,
and that's funny, because you know, and the more parents we talk to, it's funny how similar a lot of people think. That's exactly how we are. We're like, let's just get through this next couple hours, because he's gonna crash real fucking good. He's gonna go straight to bed after bath time, and we're gonna be good. Yeah. You know, because sometimes you're wondering, is he gonna wake up in the middle of the night with nightmares or whatever? And but, like, when they do that, you give them a little bit of sugar. You got to deal with it, the brunt of it. But then, you know,
you get 4 good hours of quiet.
Exactly, solid. Yeah.
You know, and it's like my wife and I give her very little sugar at all. Right. And most sugar she has is like the little yogurt pouches. You know. Right. So when she does get sugar, it's like it's super intensified, for sure, because she doesn't get it very often, which is fine. And I know it's kind of like experimenting on your kid. Right. What are you supposed to do?
Well, and that's the thing too. Every kid is different. Like, I was a nut bag for sugar. You know, I loved sugar. I was a little crackhead. So my oldest is a lot like me. So it's funny. So my oldest looks like his mama, but acts like me. Yeah. Our youngest looks just like me, but he acts like his mama. Okay. Gotcha. So, and of course, you know, he's 8 months old, but he already has his little personality. Yeah. But anyways, so you give that little nut, you know, natural sugar even, and that's where the majority of his sugar comes from. And that's not like, oh, we're crunchy parents. Right. Like, he just does. So, you know, when he drinks orange juice or apple juice, it's natural. Yeah. That's just our personal preference. If you get your kid store-bought stuff, you're not a piece of shit. I'm not. Yeah. I'm not. Whatever. But you can tell the difference between natural sugar and when that kid gets a piece of candy or some ice cream. You can fucking tell. You know what I mean? You can certainly tell, like, natural suger does it too. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, that gear. But that artificial sugar, man, he gets it and he's fucking gone.
Yeah, it's really incredible. You know, and I didn't realize. You know, even being somebody who's physically active and physically capable and, like, tracked my progress and was, like, in good shape at some point in my life, I didn't understand until I had her, like, exactly how much a difference small adjustments can make.
For sure. I mean? For sure.
And all of a sudden, you see that little, over the course of like 3 days, you make one little tweak. You know what I mean? Where, like, as far as like either timing or quantity or what it is you're giving them, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, that's how we solve that thing that she doesn't like. You know, whatever.
Exactly.
It's the craziest thing. It's like it's a little walking science experiment.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
It's like to touch on what you said before. It's like, how could you not be prepared?
Yeah.
They're a conundrum. Like, no, people have been having kids for millions of years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but we still haven't got it figured out because there is no blueprint. You know, especially with, like I said, like, you know, we live in a different society than we did 100 years ago or 200 years ago or 1,000 years ago. And it's like, you know, we live in a different part of the world. And so even people who you can map out to be like in your exact situation down to the same job as you in the same neighborhood, they're going through something different.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, the genetic makeup, you know, some kids react to sugar differently and have predispositions out the womb, you know. So it's just like all this stuff that comes with parenting. It's like if you start to really think about it, it'll drive you nuts.
Come here.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure. For sure. You have to go potty again? Then go potty, boo-boo. We got your little light switch
so
thingies
sweet.
and everything.
Oh, she has like a little extender.
Yeah, those are dude. I saw one at my buddy's house like before she was born. It's like we need to get like a bunch of them.
But so what is it?
It fits over the switch, right?
Yeah.
It just screws onto the actual screws to the actual plate.
Yeah.
It's just a little lever. It
really?
It hangs down like a foot, so they can reach the
Give them a
little.
little extra. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Turn off the lights and turn them on by herself. Now she's tall enough. How you see her, she's like 6'4", comparatively. You know.
No, she's pretty tall.
You know, I think of how small because she was 5 pounds,
Dude.
15 ounces.
And
right?
they grow like weeds.
Yeah,
It's
man.
crazy.
She literally she wouldn't like curled up. She didn't even she wasn't even as long as my forearm.
Right.
Right, curled up. She wasn't even that long.
Tiny.
And now she's this. You know. Now she's just walking. You know, 99th percentile.
She will eat you out of house and home.
Yeah. What do you want? You had an accident? Okay. We'll hit pause real quick and we'll come back to it, okay? All right, and we're back after accident time. Because, you know.
Hey, being a dad.
She's 3. You know, that's what they do.
That's what's up.
You know. God bless her. God bless her little face. I love her so much.
But see, that's you jumping into action, like that's, part of being a dad.
Yeah.
It's just, it's something that you really don't even think about. Me personally,
Yeah.
I feel like you just like, kid had an accident. That sucks. Let's just
There you go.
do what you got to do, That's just being a parent.
I used to be annoyed when we were first
Right.
potty trainer, like, oh, I'll just do it. And like you were saying, just like she's a toddler.
You have to remind yourself constantly. Like they don't think like we do,
Yeah.
and it's hard sometimes, like especially if you're already like frustrated or had a bad day at work or whatever, like you don't process information the same. So it's like you had a, accident. Why?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you're 3.
How does
That's
this
right.
make sense in your brain? Well,
Right.
it doesn't. It's fine.
Yeah. Because I'm learning, bro. I just learned how to walk like 2 years ago. So it's like, you have to constantly remind yourself.
And honestly, that was one of the harder things for me because I when I would come home after a rough day for about like, I don't know, maybe a couple months there, I had to really stop myself before I even walked in the door. Okay. Don't be an asshole.
Right.
Shitty
Oh,
mood.
yeah, for
you know
sure.
what I mean? Because, look, any dad that tells you he doesn't is a liar.
For
At
sure.
some point, you're going to scream at your toddler. You're going to be, because everybody gets to their breaking point. You know what I mean?
For sure, yeah, we're humans. We're
and
imperfect.
yeah, and I caught myself. Like, did I really just say that to my toddler?
I feel like what's
think I
important is not, obviously, if you can stop yourself, that's the best course of action. But like you said, every dad especially, you got all this fucking testosterone going, ready to go, So the best thing I feel, because I know I'm definitely guilty of this, yelling for no fucking reason. They're being a kid, It's like, put that fucking down. I was like, oh, wait, well, it's a plastic spoon. Like, let them have it.
Right.
So me personally, I feel like it's what you do right after that makes the difference. Hey, this is why daddy yelled at you. You're not supposed to be doing that. And I'm worried that, you climbing the stairs, jump on the couch, you're going to bunk your head and we're going to have to go to the hospital.
Right.
I'm sorry for screaming. That's my approach. And some people are like, no, fuck that. You yelled at them for fucking up? Good. Yeah. Again, everybody's way of parenting, is different. And that's, like spanking. That's a taboo subject, especially nowadays. And it's like, I personally think there is a time and a place for it. And,
for sure.
And I'm not perfect. I definitely don't have a award-winning book on how to be a dad. But like, I feel like, this is only in recent, years. like at first I kind of would little pop on the butt, not
Right.
like a full on spank because obviously he's only 3, but like a little pop kind of for everything.
Yeah.
And then my wife was like, "Hey, maybe let's just do only timeout, no hitting, no spanking."
Right.
And I'm like, "Okay, I get it. I'm kind of an over spanker, whatever." And timeout really didn't work.
Right.
He didn't like it, but it didn't register enough for him not to do it.
Right.
Whatever he was doing. So now it's kind of like we only reserve spanking in our household for something that could physically cause him or his brother harm.
Right.
So that he associates, jumping off the 4th step.
Right.
Or whatever. Yeah. Like, that's a huge no-no. Cause, and in his head, psychologically, our thinking is, and this is based off some stuff she researched, that spanking really isn't good at all, according to a lot of psychologists and stuff. But the more you do it, the less it's a thing you do.
Right.
So if we reserve it only for really bad shit, eventually he'll be like, "Oh man, I really fucked up."
Right.
Because I must have, because they just spanked me. Not, "Oh, I'm getting spanked again," fucking because I sneezed.
Right.
And, whatever. You know what I mean? So, and I'm not proud of that, but I'm learning. You know what I mean?
Well, no, and that's the thing. Like, no parent's perfect. Obviously, you gotta roll with the punches and figure it out as you go along. And I'm kind of in the same boat as far as like the spanking thing. I obviously at 235 pounds, if I actually hit her, she's dead. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna.
If you
I'm
really
not gonna
wanted
hit
to
her.
fucking kick her,
You know what I mean? But I started giving her thumps, like a little thump in the arm. You know what I mean? And it's really like, and the purpose behind it is not to cause pain, which is where I think a lot of people misconstrue.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? They kind of get wacky. Here she comes. They want to implement pain so that their kids negatively associate whatever they did with that pain. Mine is it's and it's gonna sound horrible, but it's the truth. It's like training a dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you just give them a little bite right there, just to break that focus. You know what I mean? And make them, hey, right here.
Right.
You know what I mean? Now with girls, again, totally different. Okay, I love you, sweetheart. I really love you to death. But you can't have your car in here when we're doing a show. Okay? No Jeeps during the show. No Jeeps during the show. If you want to play with the Jeep, you got to play with the Jeep outside. Okay? Please? Okay, that's twice.
Are you okay?
Thank you. Open the door, please.
I love it.
And that's so. What we found, what I personally found with her that works really well, as far as getting her to listen and pay attention. So we got to the 3 thing, right? And I just explained it very calmly, because I noticed that I was like, she would do stuff and I would melon.
Right.
Instead of addressing the behavior, I was getting angry, right?
Right.
So what I had to do was like, okay, so let's explain to her why the behavior makes Dad angry.
There you go. That's perfect. Yeah.
So I broke it down. Okay, 1 time I'm not angry. 2 times I'm annoyed. 3rd time I'm going to start to get angry.
Respect.
And now as a result, all I had to that's twice. And she's like, oh, okay, Daddy's serious. I'm going to get my...
No, I like that. Because my version of that, it's the same thing. We physically count,
Right.
1, 2, 3, and he knows by 3. Something's going to happen.
Right.
And the great thing is, usually you don't make it to 3.
Right.
So you look at his, it's kind of like psychological warfare.
Yeah.
You leave 3 up to him.
Yeah.
Spanking, timeout, take his toys away. No books at bedtime. He loves reading before bedtime.
Yeah.
So you got to use that against him.
Yeah.
All right, this is war.
It is.
All right?
It is.
But my wife, she has a bachelor's degree in psychology, so like she is way more patient than I am and more understanding.
Right.
As me, like I said, I'm the fucking meathead construction worker who's like just immediately stop doing that. Why are you doing that? But we're like, she's like, well, you have to explain to him, number 1, why he's doing what he's doing is wrong. And like you said, there's levels to it.
Yeah.
I've already asked you once. Okay, now you're going to make Daddy upset.
Mm-hmm.
And you preface it so that when you do get there, there's no shock there.
Right.
But for me, with my boy, my ADD, pretty sure he's ADD.
Right.
Half the time he ain't listen.
Yeah.
And what's funny, and it's funny to talk about it, and you kind of, all you can do is laugh about it.
Right.
It's like, Luca.
Madeline, would you please go outside? Not outside the house, obviously, just outside the office.
And that's another thing, dude. Kids are literal, man.
It, dude.
You have to remember that. And that's sarcasm. They don't get it, but I'll tell him what did I just say? What did Daddy just say? Or what did Mommy just say? And he'll go, yes. And okay.
Yeah.
Obviously, you weren't listening, and you just verified my exact thoughts. And it's like, I feel like you get used to repeating, but again, he's he needs to be engaged. He needs to be stimulated. So any little thing, if he's bored, will catch his attention. So we first try to engage focus. Then the next step is explaining why was wrong and why it was wrong. Yeah. And how it could either hurt him or his brother, because he's rough with his little, he doesn't know. Yeah. Right. So we try that approach as opposed to just straight up just stop it. Hey, go to timeout. Bang, spank. Just exactly immediately. He doesn't know. He doesn't know, and that's hard. Yeah. That's hard. I'm definitely, like I had mentioned earlier, worried later on, him figuring out navigating his way through society. Right. That's a whole thing I'm going to tackle later on. There's no sense in stressing about it right now. Yeah. He's 3. If I can got a job or have to pay taxes or deal with some dickhead at school. Yeah. So right now it's just, hey. Yeah. Don't be a little asshole. Stop doing that. Don't hurt your brother. Don't poke his eyes out. Yeah. Leave his ears alone.
The psychology of disappointment, right?
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's powerful.
Call me what you want to, but it works.
No.
I am.
Listen, as a dad, I understand. Yeah. Someone who doesn't have kids may think that's cruel, but that's the thing. That's it. You're raising humans. Mm-hmm. It's your job to make sure they're not a fucking piece of shit. Yeah. And I say that jokingly, but also kind of not. Like, if I personally feel like, I feel like it's a very niche group, so it's not even like a popular group of parents, but like that free range parenting. Yeah. Right. I mean, again, every kid's different. So that could yield a perfectly normal human being that contributes to society, pays taxes, and uses their blinker. Right. Right. But personally, I feel like you're raising a little asshole because they're, we just like to let them figure out what they're doing. Yeah. And it's like, you're going to fight. Yeah. You're going to fight in front of the kids, but let's go back. Yeah.
He's figuring out that he likes to fuck with people.
Exactly. You know what I mean? Because your little free-range chicken kid is going to fuck with my kid, and he's going to put him in a headlock. Yeah. Yeah. And that's going to be your fault because you didn't teach him no. Yeah, and I'm not going to be one of these bitch-ass dads that, turn the other cheek. Look, exactly. If it's appropriate to turn the other cheek, we'll go into that, and we'll mess with that. But if it comes down, you're not waiting for the fight to start. No, and that's how I was raised. You know what I mean? There's no sense in taking an ass whipping that you can avoid by not waiting for the fight to start. Exactly. I don't care if you run. Right. I don't care if you get the hell out. Right. Don't wait for the fight to start. Absolutely. And surely don't be the one instigated either. Yeah. Yeah. That was one thing. My mom, I had an incident. I was middle school, and this kid was kind of fucking with me, and it didn't, and again, you can look at it however you want, but it didn't necessarily warrant me, like, shoving him. Right. But, like, he was in my personal space, and I kind of felt that fight or flight, and I was like, okay, like, something's going to happen. Yeah. It's going to boil over, so I'm just going to shove him, and if we fight, we fight. Or it, like, lets him know, like, hey, I'm just not going to talk shit anymore. Like, what's up? And fortunately, there was no fisticuffs. Right. So I shoved him, and he was kind of surprised by it. And then, like, we both got in trouble. It was a physical altercation because I touched him. Right. Right. So we ended up in the office, and my mom's main thing was like, she told the school, like, I'm gonna handle this, but from what my child tells me, he didn't start it. So as far as the shoving goes, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not doing anything about that because that's how I raised him. Yeah. Now, as far as being loud and the cussing, we'll talk about that. Yeah. So that's one thing. Fortunately, that my wife and I are on the same page with most stuff, and that's awesome. And I feel like that's important for marriage, and especially for being parents. Yeah. Because not all parents are married, but you got to be on the same page. And she's like, yeah, for sure. Like, he's not going to take shit if somebody's fucking with him, and it turns into a physical altercation. He needs to stand up for himself.
The expectation is, yeah,
that you will not get in trouble if you defend yourself. Yeah. That whole just it's not black and white.
There's the wife. Hi, babe.
Hey, babe. But it's like there's no blueprint. Again, I feel like you just do the best you can, honestly. Yeah. Because I feel like there are people who are they just pass blame. Right. They were like that their whole lives, as they're just bad employees who fucking underperform. Yeah. And it translates to their home life. They're bad spouses or bad parents. It just you're imparting that. They see that. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like and again, personal opinion. Is irrelevant. Like, I feel like there is good and bad. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it's like again, on how you raise your kid is totally up to you. But like, I feel like you owe it to them at least to teach them wrong from right. You know what I mean? Now, what that looks like may be different. Again, discipline, all that stuff. But you can't fucking go around like you see kids at like the mall or something, and there's all kinds of kids. I love people watching, and you got the little kids are being well behaved, and that's great. That's not necessarily my kids, but he's also not that little asshole running around,
breaking stuff,
touching strangers, and So it's like, everybody, find your own way, and I hope it goes great for you. It's not gonna be great for everybody. Everybody has different challenges economically. Geographically even, you know what I mean? Like kids in Dagestan aren't getting raised the same as kids in Carrollton, Texas. You know what I mean? So
for sure.
Figure it out your own way. Just don't raise a piece of
jerk off.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny too, because it's like, these movies like Bad Moms is a funny movie, and it's like, when they're not around the kids, like that little motherfucker. Yeah. And it's, again, not having kids, you're kind of like, oh, that's a little crass. Oh. Yeah. And it's like, no,
there's a certain
they can be a little motherfucker too, even if they're 3. So it's like, but obviously I don't call him that to his face.
Sure.
But, it's just funny how we'll be talking, like the wife will go do something and I'm with just the boys, and I'm like, I'll tell her like he's being a little asshole in private, and into his face. Like that's, you can't name call a kid, obviously, but it's just funny. You have to laugh about it. And that's the thing too, you can't. Again, but just some of these people, like I had a buddy who was raised like traditionally Japanese, and his mom came from over there, and like she was super like fucking grades, man. Fuck your friends. You're gonna learn. He was in orchestra
languages.
He was an orc dork. I was a band geek.
Yep.
But anyways, you're gonna learn. I can't remember what instrument he played, but you're gonna play your instrument. And you're gonna get good grades, and that'll yield a good college, resume and all that. So, and then. But for me, that was so weird. Right. And because I was not raised that way. And not that that's wrong. But it's just crazy. Like, as you grow into an adult, you start to realize, like, oh, shit's different. Yeah. Because you live in your bubble. Even today. You know what I mean? Like, what's happening in Ukraine is relevant somewhat, but that doesn't affect my job.
It's not here,
It doesn't affect my job. You know what I mean? It's just like it's not in your mind all day, every day. It's kind of maybe in the back of your mind, or not in your mind at all. Yeah. And like that's one of those things that just it affects your life. You just don't know it. Right. You know what I mean? So it's just crazy because to figure all of what we've been talking about, trying to figure that out
on the fly.
Literally on the fly. Exactly. That's a perfect way of putting it, because you're flying with the seat of your fucking pants. You know what I mean? Because. Yeah. You fuck up as a parent, but you have to see that and then figure out what works for you. Like, and again, watch YouTube videos on child psychology, like on how, like, do whatever you want. Yeah. I'm not saying, again, there's a blueprint, but it's great. Right. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's great. Yeah. It's beautiful to see those boys grow. We have, my wife has Time Hop, which is an app, that just reminds you of this day 4 years ago, this day 6 years, whatever. And like she'll send me shit while I'm at work, and sometimes I'll tear up, and because it's just like a beautiful thing. Like for my oldest, just to like see his different stages and like the cute shit he used to do, or he still does, or this is a new thing he does, and it's like, man, that's crazy. Yeah, I made that.
If they don't do anymore,
or they don't do anymore, and you wish they did, or so.
We went from when we went from diapers to pull-ups, kind of the potty training thing. I had a diaper song. So at night, before I put her to bed, I would sing the diaper song. And that would kind of train her brain. Okay, it's time to wind down, kind of chill out, get ready for bed. And it was the funniest, stupid thing, because she actually, even at a year and a half, she couldn't, she's just like, just making noises, but she was like, right on with it. She's into it. Yeah. And now she doesn't do that anymore. And I was like, I wanted to keep them forever. But of course, she's not going to wear diapers forever. So it was designed obsolescence.
Well, you can do a goodnight song. We do a goodnight song, my oldest. It's real simple. Obviously, I do not sing like you. Let's just let everybody know that I can't sing for shit. But we've been singing it to him since he was like 1, and like we'll sing it to him until he tells us not to. Right. Trying to figure out for the other one will be a little challenging. His name's Enzo, so it's trying to rhyme that. I'll figure it out. But anyways. I respect that. I like that. I think it's you associate that with bedtime and winding it down, even though he doesn't. Homeboy's just singing like for like an hour. It's like, Luca, stop singing. You're gonna wake your brother up. Or he'll just be talking to himself about how his day was. And then sometimes the weirdest part is he'll stare into the camera because we have kitty cams in the room, and it's like night vision, so his eyes look like a deer, that glow, and he's just like staring into the camera. It's like, dude, close your eyes and go to sleep. You're freaking me out.
Nope. I'm fascinated with whatever's right in front of me at the moment. Which I envy and admire how.
No kidding.
laser focused they can be on whatever it is that's making them happy at that moment. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I think that's part of what humanity. I think that's why part of humanity is so angry. By the time you hit like 8 or 9 years old, you lose that. You know what I mean?
You can't move past that. Yeah.
And you spend most of your life chasing it down. You know what I mean? Trying to recreate that. Oh, that's what I liked. That's what I enjoyed to do like all the time.
Yeah.
But obviously staring at butterflies out the window doesn't necessarily make you money.
No
so
shit. Yeah. Eventually, you have to kind of snap into it. But the innocence is beautiful. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. It's been amazing to watch.
And we can use it to our advantage too as parents. Like, and it's not even like. People have been doing this already, but it like blew my mind. Like my wife saw something again because we're very open minded to changing things that don't work. And with our oldest, he gives a little bit of a drama queen, and I laugh because that's the Latin in him. Like he's flailing like a damn professional soccer player. Like when he scratches his fucking toe, and it's like, come on, bro. Yeah. But the beautiful thing, like you just said, they move on real quick. Yeah. Sleight of hand. Oh hey. So my wife is really good at it. I need to work on it more, but she'll be like, hey, what color is that on the TV? Or, hey, what color is who's that a picture of? Right. And he goes from, oh, my foot's falling off. Oh, that's, that's Uncle Nate. Yeah. Yeah. What was I crying about? Oh, nothing. You weren't crying at all. Yeah. Move on. So you can use it to your advantage as a parent. But it is beautiful to see that, this innocent, like, bubbles. Yeah. Yeah, that realization that, that, I wish bubbles made me happy.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, dude. Especially, okay, not for nothing, but the stuff they have that makes bubbles
not
nowadays.
For nothing, but
okay, the machines, battery operated everything that makes bubbles, and not just like but I'm talking waves.
Could float you into space bubbles. Fuck yeah, dude.
Waves of bubbles, man, for hours at a time, and she will for an entire jug of bubbles. Or if she has enough bubbles, she'll wait till she'll go till that battery dies.
Fuck yeah!
And just pouring it in and chasing them.
And it can be to the same thing. Yeah. And she's pumped for the fucking next one. Totally, it's gonna be like exactly. Totally, it's beautiful. Yeah. It's beautiful.
I love it. It's so funny to watch. That's why, and that's kind of why I've started to turn the camera on her, because like when she was first born, it's like, oh, we're not paying anything on social media. We're not doing any internet pictures. Baby got crazy because people are gonna come and get up.
Right.
Like an idiot, you know what I mean? That dad mode kicked in hard. Yeah. So now I just she naturally just draws a camera. You know what I mean? Like she naturally is just like this kind of little performative entity that does.
I love that.
Dances and sings and runs. She got her own little guitar and.
Oh my God, that's crazy!
Yeah, the little orange one over there.
I love that
little guitar.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's still a little big for her, but it's like 7/8 scale. But yeah, you know what I mean. So she can actually sit in here with Daddy, and I can teach her, and blah blah blah.
Isn't that awesome? How she's interested in what you're interested in?
Yeah,
because I've been warned by I have cousins who have older kids. So I'm like, that's not gonna last forever. Yeah. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Because it's our reality. We both have the kids are a month apart, so it's like we live in that. I don't know any other difference. Yeah. But if you really think about it, it could very well happen, because they're also all kids like myself. Like my dad's second generation construction. I'm third generation. I love it. And I, am pretty biased. Like he has a lot of construction books and shit like that, because I love it, and I kind of want him, but it's like, but he may not like it when he gets older. Mm-hmm. I wanted to be just like my dad. He might not want to be just like me, and that's okay. But it's like, like fishing, like I had mentioned earlier on, like I so badly want him to like fishing, like I do, and golf too. Like, those are my kind of two things. Those are my dad things, Yeah. Don't require a healthy body. Which physique. My dad bod shirt.
I was gonna say I love that.
I got my donut pack, baby.
I love that fucking shirt, dude.
But he may fucking hate golf. Yeah. Like, this is stupid. What? Because a lot of people don't like. Yeah. He may hate fishing. He's like, why are we out here for 6 hours not catching shit? It's like, because we're just out here. So,
when you find beer, son, you'll understand.
Exactly. Hey, I'm catching a buzz or I'm catching a bass. All right, boy. So, but but for now, it's beautiful. They're genuinely interested. Yeah. What's that, Dad? What's that do? So we watch, like I said, I'm obsessed with construction. So even when I'm not working, and this isn't all the time, this is when I have a couple minutes to fuck off, I'll turn on a YouTube video and learn about some different type of construction that I don't specialize in. And what's cool is he'll ask me questions because he's interested. He's at that age where he's curious, and he's like, hey, what's that? What are they doing? And I'm like, oh, they're paving, or that's called asphalt, whatever. Right. And I love that your daughter does that with you, like, learning the chords and shit, because that's cool. That's really cool. Because even if she doesn't, like, get into it, it's still something you can teach her that's a utility for later on in life, maybe. For sure. That'll transition, because it takes discipline. Yeah. I always wanted to play guitar. but I'm all over the fucking place.
Right.
You know, my ADD, I lose interest in a lot of things, you know, and I've always loved math and construction. So I've stuck with them, and that's fortunately how I make my living.
Yeah.
But, you know, like, I think it's cool to get your kids in early on something like music.
Yeah.
Because it's such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The way that a song could get you fired up to go fucking fight somebody or make you cry because you can relate, like, because Papa died and you know, a good old country song or a rock and roll or hip hop, or like, there's just so much in music that's beautiful.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know,
that's intrinsically emotional. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, so the first song that she ever heard was Sam Cooke.
There you go.
Having a Party, I think was the name of the song. So I raised her very, very young. I wanted to make sure the music that I put in her head was good music. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, whenever we're in the car, we don't listen to the radio. It's Dad's playlists of 180 songs that he's downloaded in this playlist. And it's all super. I mean, some of it's kind of super cornball, you know, Bruce Hornsby pop stuff. I shouldn't say hornball, you know, I shouldn't say cornball Bruce Hornsby because he was a great jazz pianist, but you know, like 80s pop stuff that was super big. That was people listening to today like, oh, you that's stupid. Like, you just don't have a musical ear,
right?
But I made sure to get that good noise in her head early, so that I didn't have to necessarily deal with her bringing home some of the crap that I love you, Katie. My wife brings home. Some of her music taste is not good, but I don't expect it.
Well,
to
see,
be,
I imagine that's hard for you being a musician.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, and that's the kind of thing that's the thing about music, being a musician, right? Nobody's music taste is going to be as good as yours,
right?
Right? It's
I can only imagine.
It's that arrogance that comes with being a good musician. Is like, okay, I know what good noise is, so whatever you like, if I don't like it, it's obviously garbage, you know?
Right?
And it's such an entitled Karen way of
that
looking at things.
That wasn't somebody's impression, was that?
No, that was totally me. That's totally me. And I've had that conversation with a whole bunch of people. Like, well, you just don't know because you don't know.
Yeah, because I know and you don't.
Yeah.
No, honestly, I could definitely make an argument on your behalf that I don't know. You know, we probably like the same stuff, to be honest. Like, I like stuff with instruments.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I like me a freaking good rap song every now and then. And then even like the older stuff, I can kind of get into because I can respect the effort that went into just thinking, like, because I'm not that creative.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can build some shit with my hands, but I can't play some shit.
Yeah.
I can't even sit there. I don't even know where to begin. Like, what, you know what I mean? If you put a whole ensemble together, I couldn't even tell you what instrument, chord, or whatever to play first to get it started. Yeah. I have no fucking idea, and I'm not going to act like I do. But the shit nowadays that passes as music that's played over and over again is nuts, dude. And it's going to change. And that's something that, you know, I'm sure you dealt with this too. You know, we're not that far off, you know. Yeah. And your parents, like, listening to something that maybe you liked, and, you know, they're like, that's what?
Yeah.
That's me. No, that's not music. This is music.
I have to wonder how much of my parents like. Yeah.
And then now it's, you know, all this freaking mumble rap and these goofy country songs about banging and fishing. And I love country music, but there's a difference between country music and bullshit. Yeah. But I'm like, what is it going to be when our kids are older? Like,
I shudder to think.
You know, it's crazy. It's going to be nuts.
And most of my playlists are, you know, pre 2010 or 2005, really, right? Most of it goes back to the, like, 40s. You know what I mean? Right. And you hear those raw recordings of, like, Ray Charles, of Steely Dan, of Etta James or Patsy Cline. I mean, these great musicians, and that was live take. That was live take. There was no digital editing the voice. There was no, like, cutting and splicing back in. It was okay. We got the musicians to do their track. Now you sing.
Real people, instruments, real voices.
Actual application.
It's powerful.
I mean? Yeah, for sure. And that's why personally I think music was so much better prior to the digital age. Now, not to say that the digital age hasn't had its good music.
Absolutely. It's remarkable.
You know what I mean? But some of the EDM stuff that's come out, the guys that have actually, like, fused EDM and jazz, or, like, you know, old school.
It can be pretty cool.
It can be fascinating. But you lose a lot of that soul, that connection with again, that humanity that feeling, connection. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because nobody's conveying it to you. It's being programmed out of a computer. Right. And when you look at the fact that most of the top 40 hits written in the last, like, 25 years have been written by two guys, you know what I mean?
Right. Well, that's the thing too. Like, I didn't really notice until, because again, I'm not, like, I love music, but I'm not, like, in it. Is, like, there's a lot of, at least when I was in high school, like, a lot of people in the same circles had the same producers and the same people writing their own music. I'm like, oh, they They didn't write that song. No, somebody wrote
Yeah.
that for them. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but that's not how it used to be.
Right.
You know, if Etta James sang, it's because Etta James wrote that song.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was every now and then, you know, so and so would write a song for so and so, but it didn't happen that often.
Right.
It was their original track.
Yeah.
And you know, like
Yeah.
like Ray Charles, you mentioned, like just see, you know, his autobiography and like what he grew up with, you know, dirt floors and all that, and like to what he rose to, and then even the struggles along the way, because you know, money changes people.
Yeah.
And oftentimes for the worse, you know, unfortunately. And he went through some shit, man.
Yeah.
But you could hear that in his music.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's really powerful.
Yeah.
Whether you're having a good day or bad day, need a good cry or need to boost you up for you walking in this meeting and like, I'm going to sell the shit out of this product or whatever. Or I'm going to pitch the hell out of that. Or, you know, I'm going to own today and I'm going to check off all the things on my list that I've been putting off.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just, music is powerful.
Yeah, for sure.
It's awesome.
It is one of the few things on the planet that unites us all. You know what I mean?
There you go. That's yeah.
Because we all the frequency, the resonant frequency of sound is the resonant frequency of sound. You know what
exactly.
I mean? It touches
here, other side of the world,
everybody the same way. You know?
Absolutely.
And that's kind of what I strive to convey to people. You know, I mean, as far as my ability to make music now, I consider it to be far diminished from what it was when I was 25. You know what I mean? Because you age, and I smoked cigarettes, and you know, I lived the life of a musician, wannabe rock star for a long, long time, which is a lot of self-abuse.
Well, no, I don't think that's wannabe. I think you know, there's different levels to it, and that's the thing too. And so again, someone like me who outside looking in, you know, I look at you as you can sing, you can play, you are a musician. But you guys are your own worst critics, as many people are in their own respective hobbies and fields.
Yeah, for sure.
So, you know, you've played actual gigs. So you are, you know, a paid musician. But you put yourself, or I guess rather, you put these other people on this pedestal because they're famous and they have hit albums.
Yeah.
That I'm not as good as them. Well, it's not necessarily true. Yeah. It's just you're not as famous as they are. So it doesn't mean you're not a musician. It doesn't discount the fact that you can write your own music and play an instrument well, I might add, because there's definitely some people who are musicians who who struggle to get through a few chords. You know what I mean?
You know, so you learn the truth about some of the bands that made it, especially like during the late 2000s, early 2010s, who were literally talentless hacks. But because they had the right look,
exactly,
the right time, right place. You know, they had the right parents who were already established in Hollywood or wherever they were at. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, boom, they get famous. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a jagged pill to swallow. Having been one of those guys that literally ground it out every day from junior high all the way till now, refining craft and writing and producing and putting all this stuff out there, trying to make a name. But at the end of the day, and it was one of those things that I came across that was really difficult for me. Was like, it doesn't matter if you ever get famous. You do it because you want to share it with people. You know what I mean? It's not about, like, I've made good money most of my life. We're fine. Right. You know what I mean? I don't have to necessarily become rich and famous to be fulfilled, you know, as a musician. Right. Well, that's good. I get to share all this stuff. It's right here. I literally can just broadcast it whenever. Well, yeah, and you got videos online. Your covers and your originals both. You're freaking great. Distribution. I tell everybody, distribution is free. There's no reason for you not to have your stuff out in front of somebody at some point nowadays, because distribution is free. Absolutely. And as a result, I can feel fulfilled as a musician because I've got, you know, it's not much, and a couple thousand people over the course of several years that have popped in and, you know, either watched a YouTube video or watched a Facebook post or whatever. But that was the whole point in the beginning. For sure. If I'm honest with myself about why I wanted to be a musician in the first place, it was never about the money. It was about understanding that I had a gift that I needed to share with other people. Otherwise, I would be wasting it. Right. That's awesome. You know what I mean? I think that's a good outlook. And as a result, you know, I keep your head down, keep grinding it out, and find contentment in what it is you have. Yeah. Yeah. Does it suck to go to work every morning and spend 12 hours a day at a job? Sure. Absolutely, yeah. Pays the bills. Yeah, be good at it. Why not be good at it? Yeah. That's something I've always respected, and I say that about every industry, whether you hold it in high regard or if you think it's bullshit entry level. Yeah. Chick-fil-A is a great, you know, prime example. Like, the way they groom young people to be, like, good, upstanding citizens and customer service. Like, honestly, would be proud if my kid, while he was in high school, worked at Chick-fil-A. Yeah. You know what I mean? But it's like, even if they're a grown adult and that's how they make their means, I respect it if they're awesome at that job. Yeah. Now, you know, if you're in customer service and you hate your fucking life, go do something else. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because then we shouldn't all have to pay for your shitty attitude. But if you're like,
freaking super polite, you're on your shit, and you're proud of what you do, I can respect the shit out of that. Whether you're making $12 an hour or freaking, $55 an hour, whatever. Be good at what you do. Take pride in it.
And I'm happy to vocalize that point too. I'm happy to vocalize that. Somebody asked me about, what do you think about Chick-fil-A? Dude, those guys are awesome.
Fuck yeah.
I've never had a bad experience. It's very consistent. Whenever I come in, everybody's happy to see you. Even if they're
at least they pretend to be. Yeah, exactly.
Even if they're feeding me a line of bullshit,
right.
If the line of bullshit they're feeding me tastes good enough, I don't care.
No shit. Exactly. The customer service tastes good. So does the food. I don't want to walk in and your fucking goldfish died.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, to be honest, like I'm not here for an experience, but it would be nice to have somewhat of a decent interaction. Yeah. Before I leave out of here. Yeah. Not like. I already feel like, me personally, I'm fucking in Whataburger. I'm a fat piece of shit. I'm already here. Because when I go to Whataburger, I don't hold back.
My self-esteem is already
exactly. I don't need you to be shitty because you hate your job. But again, just my whole point is I respect you no matter what you do. If you turn wrenches or if you're a freaking doctor, because there's good people and bad people in every industry. Like what do they call a doctor who graduates with a C-? Doctor. Yeah. So you know what I mean. So it's like it doesn't. Me personally, and again, this is not a. Everybody doesn't feel this way, but I don't feel like your value shouldn't be necessarily in your title. It's what you bring forth as a person, right. as an employee to whatever you're doing. Yeah. So
especially nowadays, because obviously the gig economy being what it is.
Yes.
People aren't staying at the same company for 25, 30 years, retiring with a pension and calling it a day. People are side hustling, people are side gigging, people are doing are changing jobs frequently because hey. I don't have to put up with a job that I don't like.
Absolutely.
Because I can make a little extra money over here and I can, sacrifice a little cash on the work side or, or benefits and the wife can cover benefits or whatever.
Right. But long term, it's XYZ.
Yeah. But
for sure.
This is my work-life balance. This covers the rest of it. I'm happy with it. Yeah. I don't have to sacrifice my formative golden years, so to speak, to a company that's not
that may not have returns in the long run.
They may not even be open in 5 years.
Exactly. And I'm all for loyalty. Don't get me wrong. You know what I mean? If that's your thing and it looks like that's the best path forward for you and you're happy, do it. Stay somewhere for 20 years and retire. Great. But nowadays, like you just said, it kind of is a gamble. I mean, unless you're with a well-established company, but even then, some shit could happen. You know what I mean? Especially privately owned companies, which is I could be ignorant to this, but I think is the majority of most industry.
Oh yeah.
You are loyal for what? I respect loyalty, and I feel like it should be rewarded.
Sure.
But also, if you're at a place where you may not be happy. And you can maybe take a little bit of pay cut and go work somewhere else doing the same thing for someone differently, but be happy, then do it. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, I mean, you got to pay bills. Don't get me wrong. I'm not stupid. Otherwise everybody would do whatever the fuck they want. Right. But so, I mean, you obviously, what your budget is. Everybody's budget's different. So stay within that budget, but don't sell your soul. Yeah. You know what I mean? And that's the age we're in. Like you said, work-life balance is more important now more than ever, because back then it didn't used to be a big thing. Back then the blueprint was you grinded it out. Mm-hmm. You busted your ass, 60, 70 hours a week, 6-7 days a week. Yeah. And that's what got you at the top of the totem pole. Yeah. But for what? But that's, again, I don't fault that generation because that's, my dad was like that. That's how he grew up. Right. And fortunately now he's at the age where he's older. He enjoys his grandkids. Yep. He's always valued his family. But to him doing his best was going to work 6 days a week, every fucking week. Yeah. Busting his ass to earn more for his family to provide. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying nowadays you don't have to do that. Right. Especially if you got a good partner, you guys, are on the same page and you have everything all balanced out. Be happy. Yeah. Spend time with your family.
I honestly think nowadays it's easier to achieve a more suitable work-life balance than ever before.
For sure.
You know what I mean? It's specifically, it's these, which I have my
that's a whole
issues with, you know what I mean? But it's literally made it possible for anybody to make a living anywhere. If you are willing to dedicate enough time and energy to it and stick to it, you can make whatever you want to make. Yeah. Wherever you want to make it.
You think our dads had the option of working remotely?
My dad, no. My dad worked in computers. He was a system architect and a computer programmer, systems analyst for American Airlines and Sabre Group. So the big reservation system that American Airlines used forever, where you go in and put your little ticket in, that was him. He built all the infrastructure for that.
That's awesome.
His team built all that infrastructure. He didn't have to distribute what?
Yeah.
Well, YouTube, huh? Well,
Right.
you know what
Exactly.
I mean?
Yeah. Nowadays you can work from home. You know?
Yeah. It's
awesome.
Yeah, it's astonishing. It's really astonishing. It's really astonishing, and I am more than happy to take advantage of it.
No kidding. Yeah.
In any way, shape, or form
Absolutely.
I can, man. So we'll finish up with this. I try to ask everybody kind of these three questions, and I can't remember the guy's name. I saw who actually conveyed this message that I saw, but it's kind of a universal message from over and over and over again. The why, what, and how, right? So why you do it, what you're doing, and how you're going to go about getting it done, right? And the reason I like to ask these three questions is because I think it's a very unique exercise in internal.
I'm saying how people think.
Right? Because a lot of people have like the what and the how down, but they don't know why they do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm quite certain because you have kids, you're a dad. I know what your purpose is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I always like to hear people's stories and how they justify their actions. I don't want to say justify their actions, but how they rationalize the grind, right?
Yeah,
the grind, so to speak. So we'll start with the why. Why is it that you grind every day?
So for me, I feel like it gives me a big sense of purpose as a man, and I know that's sometimes an unpopular opinion, but I feel like it's my duty to provide for my family.
Yeah.
And for the past a little over a year, we've been fortunate enough to where I was able to do that.
Oh, right on.
The wife took some time off, and she was a stay-at-home mom of both of our beautiful boys,
Right
and
on.
So that's why I grind it out. I want to show my son that hard work pays off.
Yep.
But obviously, at a certain point, you got to incorporate work-life balance.
Yep.
So I've been at where I'm at for a year and a half now, and not only do I make more money, I work less.
Yeah.
And that's a humble brag, and I mean that in the most purest way, because I didn't know that position offered that salary.
Right.
I just needed to figure out a better work-life balance, and unfortunately for me, that meant leaving my family's company.
Right.
6 days a week, every freaking day.
Yeah.
10, 11 hours a day. I had young kids at the time, and I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this anymore.
That's a beating.
So, I was very fortunate to I networked because I still love construction. I'm very passionate about it, and I'm confident I'll do this until I retire, and I may not retire. I don't know. I don't know. Anyways, I grind to provide.
Right on.
For sure. So I'm going to go to the place that's going to pay me the most and also allow me time with my family. Mm-hmm. So that's why I do it for
right
sure.
Right on. So onto what? So what is it that you're and I always kind of associate the what with like the end goal, not necessarily what it is that you're doing currently, but like what does the end goal look like? What is I don't want to say the final picture either because that sounds horrible, but
right.
What is that when you got your entire picture painted, what does that look like?
So for me, and this is kind of my dad, I share my dad's fantasy in this sense that ultimately my goal is, and this may never happen, and honestly if it doesn't, it's okay, but for me, I'm gaining as much knowledge as possible. I'm busting my ass, and I'm even in my free time when it's not taking time away from the kids and the family. I'm learning more about the industry because I one day would like to own my own construction company. And then, of course, the dream is that both my boys work with me, not for me necessarily. Obviously, at some point, it'll be for me, but eventually transition to with me as partners and father and son thing. Right. So that's kind of where I'm at. Either way, if they end up in construction or not, it's okay. But that's kind of in the perfect world, me running my own company. Right
on. And so finally, the how. So how are you going to get there?
So right now, I'm 30, so I'm still.
God, I forget how young you are. God dang, dude.
The decade isn't that.
I love you to death, man.
So with that being said, people, they find that out and they kind of dismiss me in this industry because it is an old man's game still. Yeah. But I've been doing construction for over a decade because I come from a family of construction workers. So I was in, sophomore year in high school, I've been working in construction. Yeah. There were a few years where I branched off and went into automotive, and that's how we met at tech school, trying to make something of myself. But that still tied back into construction because at that time I was turning wrenches for my family's construction company. Right. But I was more of a helper doing heavy diesel. Anyways, realized turning wrenches wasn't for me. They found something else, and then, the rest is history. I'm here and where I'm at now. But I feel that, to continue forward, I need to learn as much as I can with an open mind, figure out how to do certain things a certain way, and then just figure out how to successfully run my own company. And if not, stay with a company who, again, values me on things I previously mentioned.
Right on.
Sweet, man. I always have a hell of a time talking to you, man.
Dude, I love
and I
talking to you,
really,
man.
really appreciate you coming out. I know it's a long drive
For sure. Yeah, no, it was worth it, man.
But we'll get this posted up. Do you want to plug the new?
So yeah, just real quick, Texas Brew Hopper. It's a company that my cousin and my brother-in-law own. It's craft beer apparel. They support their craft beer community. They do a bunch of craft beer events, like pop-ups. I keep saying craft beer because it is craft beer. They're not over here sponsoring the Bud Light and Miller.
Yeah.
They're about that craft beer life. So anyways, you can go to www.texasbrewhopper.com and get your merch. They have 35 drinking hats,
Nice.
Local drinker, 45, Route 45. So local drinker to Texas, stuff like that. So just wanted to plug them.
They're
doing something pretty cool. During the pandemic, actually, they did raise some money, and the proceeds went to help out small businesses that were kind of struggling.
Nice.
So that was kind of cool. But yeah, again, Texas Brew Hopper. They're on Instagram, Facebook as well.
Right on.
But other than that,
Yeah, y'all go check them out, guys. Support local business. You know how I am with my local support because everything I want everything to be local. You know what I mean? I
absolutely,
want to keep all the money
in a
local.
perfect world, all local.
So, but go check them out, guys. I'll put the links and stuff in the description and make sure we get everybody pointed in the right direction. If you guys have any questions, comments, leave them. Please comment. I need the algorithm love for sure because
For
while
sure,
I
like
am
and subscribe for sure.
Yeah, while I'm appreciative of all the watches, I need the subscribes and I need the comments to get the algorithm love. And I'm going to make a real quick shout out on this one.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So I got a comment on the last podcast I did with my buddy Randall from a guy who's, well, I don't know if guy or girl, from a user whose handle was I think it was "Let Me Live My Life," right?
Okay.
And their comment was, "Get this guy on Joe Rogan immediately." And I was like, "Dude,
That would be fucking epic,
thank
dude.
you." And I I wrote back to him, "Thank you," because that for me that's a high compliment.
That would be
You know what I mean?
absolutely. Are you kidding me? That's like the podcast of all podcasts.
Yeah, right.
In our opinion.
And that was my
right?
goal in getting this is to make a big enough of a splash. Maybe I could make a.
Well, you got to get
reach out
started,
there.
and like I said, before the podcast started, you've already started to grow. Like I respect the setup, dude. You know what I mean? I personally tried my hand in it. It wasn't for me, and it takes it's not everybody thinks they can do it.
Right.
They can't. It's hard.
Content creation is a different game.
The editing and the effort that goes into it, the booking the people, to having people cancel on you and trying to find replacements. There's a lot that goes into it. So I respect it, dude. I think you're doing great.
I appreciate it, man, for sure.
Looking forward to the future.
Hell yeah. We'll keep putting out content. Y'all like, subscribe, share. Go buy Texas Brew Hopper. Check them out. Get some merch.
Hell yeah.
Y'all go by the merch store for Michael Henry and the Southern Oak Band. We're on the Redbubble. Go check it out. Get your hat or something. Again, guys, we hope you'll have a wonderful weekend. It's almost the end of January, so we're coming up on Valentine's Day. So if you need some fun stuff, Brew Hopper and MHM Studios merch stores. We got hats, we got koozies, we got all kinds of stuff. Obviously, Pistol Pete's. I'm gonna do a little update episode on Pistol Pete's because they have been thriving. Pistol Pete, Josh was a buddy of mine. He was the first podcast I did, the first two.
Yeah.
And he's been making all kinds of progress. Got like these really cool aluminum etched business cards.
What?
That are the exact size.
That sounds dope, dude.
Dude, I got just so happen to have it. I'm going to put it up on here. Right? So if y'all can see that.
That's freaking crazy. That's cool.
Right?
I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Right? It's laser etched. You can get them in different colors and stuff. And it's the exact size of a credit card.
Yeah.
So instead of just tossing it or putting it in because most of my business cards will go in my little fold here,
right,
into the ether.
Yeah,
because I go in there every 6 months.
Yeah.
This perfect size goes right behind my. And it looks because it's red. It's like, is that my bank card? Oh, it's Pistol Pete's.
Hell yeah,
brilliant.
Keep them relevant. I like it.
And I'll put the link to Pistol Pete's and the story designs. Who's actually doing a lot of stuff for him.
Right on. So
everybody has access to it. We that's about it. That's about all I got. My brain's shut off. We've had allergies and
go Cowboys,
snots and everything.
Whip them Niners today.
It's about that time, isn't it? It's about that time. But all right, guys, y'all have a wonderful weekend. Y'all enjoy the rest of your month. We'll see you next time. Hopefully, they'll be out Wednesday or Thursday. I'll let you know when we get it posted up.
Sounds good, brother.
Y'all stay tuned, and as always, if you can be here, get here.